So about a half hour ago, it's about 6:50 Pacific time on this Sunday, May 1st, the first day of May, 2022. But about a half hour ago, Andre Meadows of Black Nerd Comedy dropped into the video. And in this video, he did a prediction of what he feels we're going to see in Sonic 3 and what he would like to see, or who he would like to see as well show up in Sonic 3, or at least potentially who or what will show up in the third movie, along with the already predicted Shadow the Hedgehog showing up, as well as Gun returning, Tom and Maddie returning, of course Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails and stuff. He gave some very good ideas as to potentially what we could see. I mean, he even acknowledged, Jim Carrey maybe or maybe not returning. Jim, though, has alluded that he could return if they decide, hey, let's put him in the fat suit, make him look like an authentic Robotnik, if you will. So that could happen. So he basically gave his opinions on a lot of things that are pretty much already confirmed, as well as other things we could potentially see. Like we could see the return of Supersonic, we could see the debut, I should say, of Hyper Knuckles, Turbo Tails. We could see the debut of Super Shadow and so on. But then he went on to kind of acknowledge other characters that could show up, mostly from the female perspective. And the reason he went with these characters is because of the connections with like Sonic and Shadow and so on. Like one of the first female characters he said fans want to see is Rouge, and it's no secret fans want her in the third film because Shadow's showing up. So if Shadow's showing up, they want her to show up as well. And of course he joked about obvious reasons, or that they want her in. And then he brought up Amy Rose. And he said that the Amy Rose he feels we could get in the third film if she shows up is an Amy Rose that's more closely connected, or personality connected, I should say, easy for me to say, but more connected, if you will, to her boom version, her Sonic Boom version, if you will. That is, the Amy Rose he feels we could potentially get. An Amy Rose that's pretty much a badass, that will kick your ass if you get in her way, or do something wrong to her friends, stuff like that. But then what was interesting, though, is after he mentioned Amy, he said from his own personal experience and his own personal reasonings for seeing it happen, and probably more logical, he would like to see Princess Sally. Yes, Andre Meadows said he would love to see Princess Sally. Why? Well, because he acknowledges that, not only does she have this great dynamic, with Sonic, this moonlighting dynamic of will they, won't they? Well, if you watch the animated series and read the comics, then you kind of know that they do. And, well, as far as the comics are concerned, it's kind of like back and forth. But the cartoon pretty much put, at the time, a finality on it with the end of Doomsday. Or at least what we thought was the ending of Doomsday to the cliffhanger. But anyway, he brings up the dynamic relationship that they have with each other. The fact that she doesn't put up with any of Sonic's BS and everything, but also thanks him for, helping out and stuff. And, basically has a good basically acknowledging that they have a good back and forth relationship to where they tolerate each other to the point that tolerization becomes something more for them, that friendship that they have through the tolerization of each other and their antics, or how they view things differently, develops into something more. He also brought up the fact that since she's a princess, you could use that as a connection between what's going on with Longclaw and the Owls and the Echidnas and all that. And, if she's brought in, you could have something there to really help build more upon, what's going on. Like basically finally get more answers as to why, Sonic has been gifted this power. Why does Knuckles have this power? Where does Tails have these abilities and stuff like that? But yeah, Andre Meadows, Black Nerd Comedy himself, even said that he would love to see Sally in there more than Amy. Now, he didn't say that we wouldn't see Amy. He said that basically, it's his own personal preference that he would rather prefer Sally because of the connection of her being royalty and the owls and the echidna situation. But what he also said, though, knowing that maybe that might not happen, he did suggest, and obviously he's seen it with the IDW books, that if you're going to have Amy in there, but knowing, fans like him would like to see Sally because of the connection, he said if you're going to have Amy, try to implant a little bit of Sally's personality into her. In other words, have Amy be Amy, but mix in her personality, like her Boom personality, with the Sally personality, and there you go. She could still be the badass, hammer-swinging pink hedgehog that everybody loves, but she could also have that side of her that everybody knows as, hey, or everybody would recognize of, oh, hey, that's Sally's personality coming out. Oh, we see what you did. We see what you did. So even though personally he would like to see her, like a lot of us, he also realizes that if they're going to go with Amy, the best solution to having Sally in the movie of some kind is to, kind of give a bit of her personality to Amy Rose and mix it in with Amy's current boom badass personality that he feels we're going to get. Now, he did touch upon other things as well. He did touch upon the fact that we could get the Chow, and that Paramount could look at that, Paramount original film, and Sega could look at that and be like, oh, that's going to be our Minions, or they're equivalent to the Minions. He also brought up the fact that, you could go off-world now, because if you're going to have Chaos showing up, mutated version of a Chow that wants to be perfect Chaos, that could help. He even, and again, going back to what I just said, going off-world, because I just went into talking about Chaos and everything. That kind of deals with off-world as well, so I do apologize for that. Kind of got ahead of myself there. But anyway, he also talks about, that, hey, you got all these other planets that are out there. Why not take the opportunity to explore these planets? They could do that. They could bring in the biohazard lizard. They could bring in the Ark. We know they could do a lot of that. And, he brought up the fact that, hey, if you don't really want to convolute this movie right away with a lot of characters, then here's what here's what you do. And he acknowledged that, hey, if you go to all these different planets that have sort of a resemblance to Sonic games, you could use these planets as a way of, showing off other Sonic characters like the Chaotix and others. Heck, I'm surprised he didn't mention the other Freedom Fighters. Okay, he mentioned Sally being a personal preference, but imagine if they do this, like he said, that basically you could see Sonic show up on a world what's very similar to the Mobius of SatM, and that's where he meets up with Sally maybe, because he has to go there to meet up with her to see what's going on. And maybe we see a cameo in the background of a Bunny Rabbit, or an Antoine, or a Rhoda, heck, even a Dulcie. Things like that. So a lot of potential could happen going off world, with this movie, as he kind of alluded to. He also alluded to some other things as well that he feels would, kind of help bring certain characters like Tommy and Maddie full circle. Like Tommy and Maddie could be brought full circle if, we get a flashback to the origins and how they met, and even referencing the fact that, hey, what if one of them was in a band and that band was singing, Live and Learn, or Open Your Heart, or Escape from the City. That could be a nice Easter egg nod to the songs that Crush 40 sings. So, yeah. Andre Meadows, brought up a lot of good potential ideas, that could happen in the third movie, along with those that are pretty much already confirmed. But the fact that he mentioned that from his own personal preference, he would like to see Sally in there, because he feels with her being royalty, it could make a great connection with the owls and the echidna. I like that. I am surprised he did it. You know, because normally when someone like an Andre Meadows does a prediction video like this, they don't include characters outside the games. But to me, when I hear him coming out and making that, you know, preference known that, hey, I would like to see this character a little bit more than the established, you know, Amy Rose character in the films because of her royalty that she has and the connection that royalty could have with the owls and the echidnas. It shows you that even someone like Meadows wants to see other characters outside of the games show up because of the fact that they might have more of a connection, you know, storyline wise than all the other characters, you know, the established game characters, that is. So we'll see. We shall see what they do. But yeah, Andre Meadows did a great prediction video. I'm going to link it here at the end so you guys can check it out. But yeah, again, the surprise here was the fact that he said that from his own personal preference, he would like to see Sally involved. And you know what? He's not alone in that because there's a lot of us that would like to see her involved. And again, the reasoning he brought up, the fact that he would like to see her involved, the connection that he feels would work, makes sense. It really does. But we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. I do agree with this, that if we don't get Sally and we get Amy instead, that the Amy we're going to get in this film, along with potentially Rouge, but that the Amy we get is going to be an Amy Rose based more on the Boom Amy than anything else. And she might have sprinkles of Sally's personality thrown in there as well. But I think we're going to get the Amy Rose. We're going to get the Amy Rose from Sonic Boom. Like, she'll have her iconic dress and everything, but I think we're going to get the Amy Rose personality-wise from Sonic Boom. And again, maybe sprinkled with a little bit of Sally's persona in there as well. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Andre Meadows' predictions in his videos? How do you feel about the fact that he himself even came out and said he has a personal preference to wanting to see Sally involved in the film? You know, because of her connection as royalty, potentially to the owls and the echidnas. What are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts on the other things that he brought up as well that I've mentioned here and that you could watch on the video that he did? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere, where super chats and super stickers are open and would be appreciated, guys. Also check me out at deviantart.com/bvw1979, at fanfiction.net/brian.walmer.1. Also check me out at patreon.com/bwroses. Support me at the $1, $3 tier. Check me out at my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. As well as check me out at VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get anywhere else due to copyright reasons. Also check me out at Venmo at Brian-Walmer-2, Cash App at BW Roses 98, and at BW Roses Discussions on all your favorite audio podcast platforms except for Pandora. So until next time, guys, let me know what your thoughts are, and I'm out.